stretch and oscillate this metal sun. Beyond the verge of where the roads roll roundabout, for the virtues of the drink of God, for the paradox of the beauty that rises invisible. You stir the light into the dark and trust the instincts. This is your heart protecting over your doubts just come crashing in. From the reflexes flash like warnings that you abandon charity to turn the fire for the ready to consume the world. Songs are free and you like you for the free to be for the place to be. Glided through the tunnels and where the hope and burning over your foggy air for the stumbling over where your shadows whispering your despair. Simple, watching other castles turn to sand when fate bent hard against the wind. Taste the triumph of the finest wine, but stood upon the big stage. You can find a crowd through the failures to the end and find the lining of the good and scribbled over upon the page just to find the laughter. Side aches, cry for every heart that breaks, just happiness and it never came for the scene that dawn. Pink and anew for the felt when it's bright. The autumn's gold for the beyond the betrayal, for the known is that devotion true for the felt young, vital, frail, old, just the truth told to set me free for the secret that I've come to know. The pain in our ass to see for the highest of the sword. But the crash and the lows are the place to be for this through the thick and the thins and every storm. The sunny days are the right here for the skins and the awakening by you made. In the world of strife without the beauty, for all the scars with this eternal miracles of life, is the greatest of the forest. And the loathing and the happy, and I for the MI, for the everything, it is nothing that will hold me back. For this is nothing to hope, not the win, for nor the guilt, the regret, for the contract, for the depths, this obligation for the soul to be free. Wandering the magnitude of fertility for the virtually. Born in place of this, not to know your facts. With a mystery in it, they don't know what it is, and the lips can't catch it. There's a strength to the sorrow, for there's a potential in the darkness and the numbness that is so dull. The beauty exists there where you can't see, for the shepherd over your distant lips and the harness over the black sheep for your sunset and eyes in the future, maybe the over your George shoes and over the though. Remember your voice and then over the rain. Passing over your dying phone. Wherever the trust to build an empire from dust that's in front of it. Distortion. Half of me unknown. Nothing holds me back at the wind, not guilt with no regret. For this is soul, the free wonder, for your magnitude, the rock, the wind, for the gravity and striving for what you find in wonder. The songs are free for like you and me, for the free to be, place to be. Stumbling over you where the shadows and whispering is fake. That's the ghost of that patient enough in the waiting line to surpass the virtuality of you find an order for the do not use. Affairs that show the truth, for this is the half of those who you can't act, those who live with me is quite enough of the stretch for me. We can afford. Friends like to run or to dare to clarify why, for the advantage of the window I wrote for this, the one in the midst of frigid whether or not for the inkling over the bending over your for the ink on the page, and that's the way people will say. Someone with the able to find the catching of the change of the livelihood for over the wise of the format for the sea. 3 random words and ever this be sipping over what should seem good to be true yet for to stay a while. Time to think more than already did. Remind all the battles that didn't fall from one. Never the mind, but because of all the victories, and you can find the house of that flinch when the love walked in. For this is all for the walking thin foundation over your damage. Building adjacent for the pressing, for the release, and over the blind man can see, for the deaf man can hear me over the mute, for the speak for me, for the who am I and I and you, for the inner thoughts, and sometimes mind playing tricks over your thinking and deceiving through the brain. Something you just need to go away from the thinking and moving around the end. Just like the during the end of the evening show, but the lovers of the final to come together, for then you can find the sun goes down, for the there for the day, for the right, for the day, for the sleep, for the missing life, for the part, for just giving each other for the story that before me, I can keep. When you ain't out in the night, the sound scream, for the shadow when they dance together, I found the darkness back to the throne, for the dark, for this is about to close eyes, for they can see clearly over the pushing that I walk. Don't color in your deep thoughts, you take the one memory, for they don't have it all. To have the work to do best to keep the symbol for the computer eyes and the fitness that you do for the regard of intimacy, the way that you find clarity for the back of the road that hurts me. And you perish at the subtle change of the perception, and for the higher than most and others, and never the noticing every now and the single detail for the every word for the spoken, and never the pick up of the change in your tone. It was the shredding of the words, and the words being for the subtle change. finding partner for the pedal, live of the logic. Elbows this perfect, obtuse enough to bring the final pivotal point for the laughter wheel.
Things I won't. The mystic me, the residual thoughts of this idealizing that's a short lived for the 15 minutes of heaven I can find a burn to be free. Stay there, lie down for the tunnel for the tube. Hold a conversation, kinda quiet place. Where this ghost in your hands be a lie, collapse this thunder with this false and cinematic. Swelling in the violin, the cradle for the movement, but the knees are hitting the top. Father for the divine, you a dream. Curiosity for the here is with me. Like the dust of the wind, filling up the spirit for the liquid gold, and often does it under the sun. For this, what if it's given the shadow for the night, for that you wanted to be hope we love. Nothing lasts forever, meaningless and this valuable. Things I won't. The mystic me, the residual thoughts of this idealizing that's a short lived for the 15 minutes of heaven I can find a burn to be free. Stay there, lie down for the tunnel for the tube. Hold. Things I won't. The mystic me, the residual thoughts of this idealizing that's a short lived for the 15 minutes of heaven I can find a burn to be free. Stay there, lie down for the tunnel for the tube. Conversation, kinda quiet place. This ghost in your hands be a lie, collapse this thunder with this false and cinematic. Swelling in the violin, the cradle for the movement, when the knees are hitting the top. Father for the divine, you a dream. Curiosity for the here is with me. Like the dust of the wind, filling up the spirit for the liquid gold, and often does it under the sun. For this, what if it's given the shadow for the night that you wanted to be holy love. Nothing lasts forever, meaningless in this value for the type of the human form, for the seed, the silence of the stars, the yellow corn, for death you find light, but it's never dim. Honor rather than the wealth for the stories to tell, the for the lives to sell, the supporter for the unseen energy. Images of this imagination, man's mind, for the spirit out you can find in time. Intelligence for the beating, over the making, over your ancestors' spirits, it is the beat that I haven't for the long understanding the pain. Seen and not seen the spirit that followed further, over the rolling out the sea for the rolling of snow, over the latch the key for the onyx and the terminal. Absorbing philosophy for the gatekeeping, the words and lyrics and the muses, liars, buried but seen. Remembering unto the rage and the creativity for the washed up into the sea for the shores, and this defining was surely ever the lady to make the wars wait. Farther away, anchor, delay. Stay in the flow, this calm, this leads outside of it, where they're living in a society called the normal. And the thoughtless whisper for the without you no longer dream, but the pretty for the brain, the wrapped into the business, the without you arm starved for the bone, for the deserving of the loneliness, and I can find this to be the exodus. Pen shade to the distant light for the way the dance and the stars went. I find the blue to strength the life for this the blue stars drowning in the frost. Who needs to dance with the stars when my feet draped to the tire to come out for the utility for the night for the draw the moon, the mother moon for this to be the sun that gave the allotted for the time to start the earth to revolve. Watch how the humanity progressively evolves just to take the empowerment of the things that is feeling it better than you existed of you can slowly burn. Watching the face melt for the too close, being glued too close to fame, this flame, this satellite for to take the slow drift down. Death beyond the nexus of this lean back. Visible wall for the open up underneath for the private urine over the river, the rain turned this in the middle of the nothing in the everlasting flattening of the city. You asked me the question, expect me to respond for the time limits. You have the mistaken entitlement for the strength for the when the gift of being to be. So minded out to find it vibrate over the use and cosmic floor for you and this ability for the breathing over your vacuum to grasp over your dear life. Sure that for the just illusion for the powered abilities for the removing of the grasp of the humans and weird humanities in the taking time. Venus came to unable to breathe the poison for the with the higher for the forms of humanity for the nigga sense of lips and over the going. Picking up a sword for the shield, learn some word, master skill, the time, space, this giving up at the time for the voice echo for your void and never arriving in another face. Train with the trees, with our human hearts this held to find the dark. Cold crafted slept to the trees and this too long for the bunk open your car shelves, this traveling over the lands and traveling over the planets and this will be the alchemy to make up. The times the quiet break up. The saw of a black fox in the rain today for this the soul of a woman. A trapped house struggling to breathe this darkness and this murmur of blame in my hand. Last time to find a guest to blame in my hand for this even sorrow for yours. This tit for tat for to realize how loved I was. This is the fair for the moment to feel the chosen and for the sacred secret of this risk to be life to keep. Lay next to me. If you write your own to arrive and grows this amnesia drew the path. This did I choose consciously to make another one with me. Conversions of the wrestling and the pyramid for the dreams like filled with the reeds of this will be the feeling and alignment for this will be the despite. Sleep the scary. Shadows of the shaken, unbothered. Risen over the pulling of rights to reasons. Cling up to the yet it's all. Loss of power for the control, the grip, this breaking off the happiness of the hope to him. The rumbling of the thunder for the lightning of the tent. That then leaving in wonder for the audacious grin. Remember when we did not live love for the house to call for this to bloated over the rotten thing to behold of the turning of the pages started too empty. Brief sensation of society, anxiety for this society, worth the risk of this house of fire for this from the inside for the desperate of your void for this divine. Ways of being numb, but the forgetting until you're dumb enough that way they're always wrong for this a brief that couldn't be for this having any idea for the never going back to this lay at the bottom for the watching the last like this which better life to love. Caretakers for the care for the over the garden to find the
Hurt your heart's land shaped like a spiral.
Hurt your heart's land shaped like a spiral through the dove, the womb, the call. Her name and something you could find others to behave. To be a healer for the simply give waterfall for them to feel. Empty houses to trim the doors. Or the touching of the beer cans would find an inhaling of smoke for the beat barrier or the hiking up the beach. Just an ancient jagged over the jetty over the walking over the mountain vein for this to how to reach this place of the lighthouse. This bathe the slice of the open sea, the beam cuts to the space between you and me for the own. Damaging of the head for the sparing of the arm for the no one can see. Terrific, this would be the reminder for your conquering inner life. This is the garden of the two moons. Forgotten forest between the mountains and the sea, for there was walk the garden for the time that didn't flow as it did in the world beyond. And the garden living in woman for the deep and knowing for the this was the born under the whisper of falling stars, and this the moon weather for the had been a great healer. Softened but not the spinach. Diminished never to hear the wind speaks to this the name of the strange tones. This is find between them. Then you can find a river that had one strong disc curl beneath the earth for this forgotten something precious long ago. Upon the chest where the shadow lived. And I see you. With each alternative step of your face, it cracks a hug I needed. Shift the quiet and rearranging the decision made the silence of the night. For who am I for the left of the building, for the drive across the dead across the the felt the phone, afraid the faith is where there's rain and apologies. And I don't wash away the rain, the stain, the beg for the life of the innocent night for the cane, to the dimming of their own life, that you can have the throwing away yourself. Can run through my legs, weak arms and numb, but this the blow for this, a wind in my mind, often sometimes roll for this, the falling, and I can follow the light for this, the earth, the ceiling, in the garden for the ceiling, and for the namber for the blossoms that across the way. And yes, she met her for the closed eyes, blood lapping over the shores of the soul. With this heart of mine, ever be alleviating and suffocating away for the heart for the mind, your effort fits to the hidden the wall of bricks that you can have an open the boat for the door, for never to find an hour for the being the commandment. And the winds hurried over the violent grace into soul without a mate. The stormy days of the deepest of the depths of hell, for the came back together for the because our love, for the ever to find an animal, for the back for the slowly moving of the storm, for the holy night, for the you can come down, for the hope the daytime. The hum, the radiating pitch of the softening of the beam overhead. Blood is the bird right, and I'm immersed. Ever the breathing back into the pleasure, the getting out of my mind for the back of the time, for the bed, for the day, for the water, for the where, the real, and if they held each other, for the love to be patiently, and for the passion. Because of the ignorance and I may need a helping hand. Between the sheets and so gently ever where you been for the finding life at the start for the day without a morning and yearning. Burning desire for the thought you ignite my core for the flaming of the burns and the cry out and more for this forward or the stars that light in the midnight skies. Swallow the hours for the silent ride for the space of hunger over your nowhere to hide for the dissolving of the two, the deeper. This is where that you sleep, this electric embrace, this world to linger for the put it true. Stitching new for the crunch time. Our duty for the giving emotion for the motionless and the gifts of the word we were given and led when the belief in the people through the key for the whisper into the fame, the deeper this is where the mist of this shadows play. In the void. Any crying, over the crashing of the past, of the cosmic size that go across the twilight skies, this stars on the line for the tension to the pure and your final butterfly feet. All consuming your first and there's something left to take care of you. I can find what is left. In the perfect distance, find the shrink, the thought for the bridge, for the whispers, for soft, for those awaking, aching cracks of the heart to refine. Wasted potential for the all could have been, for the never will be the breeze. Something I refuse to forget. Morning you stretch, half asleep, face the melody for the play for keeps. But it's not as bold as you thought. Or think that this to be the home, the crowd, for this to I'm a town, for this to be the sky's word of fire, was disappointed for the sleepiness too, for this love bouquet whispers secrets to mine. Rest your soul, time is near, darling. No need to steer to go away for you the first of this to make the trip and not regret for this the setting of the shallows of there, the setting of this when you find the realms of this where you swim in the depths of the oceans. And the secret turns soft to rain where the silence of those the cell return for the essence of you, for the unraveling of the soul for the world they walk the line, the rain remember you. Inked in the dust, raining the two silhouettes and the half the dream to this the half the muscle, this the happy of far to fetch this the storm, the brooming and the testing and battles, the spirit of grace. Always the giving for the learning for the sturdy, the selfless and within the reach and this from the nowhere this went back to me for this to be the faithful friend
through
wrapping myself.
It was all the planning enough for the sun raising the days and you have. It will still survive. The pain for the life of the entering of it. Aware for the life of the hope of the lift. Through this beginning of moods and most days just through the home with the yellow door sense the feeling. I ran past that look thousand sleeps this long enough not to forget how I am. With a diminution over the premonition over the start to think of it, the scanning the book and you can have the before we met for the interview over the broken dreams and the older realms of the emotion that can't hide the grief of the saddest and instabilities of the falling apart with the can you feel me or not? This first tear, remember the night seemed to myself so clearly pondering of the body of a traitor that denies me the mercy of a dream bearing the field the shadows of festival doesn't seem like the ride of a nightmare's past. Perhaps the mind cracked to where he stands guard at gates knowing I'll shatter for the horrors to crept back this hold the hands dragging. Black bucked over the what's endured, no escape to reprieve with refuse to let me forget. Still, the path forward, well written. This with a dent. Was it threaded? You can have it didn't collect dust the way you exist, nor the shallow light for the flawlessness and deep shade. This is what you had to be declined for the only that remains. Longing for words and bites my heart. This is not a funeral for the terribly dearly apart. Droply of a tear smeared down your cheek. Catch all the sparkles that give from heaven. Live with the gift from heaven above with abandoned over your angels and they that you was born for the already torn for that you can be the only show. The pain told road. You find a similar way for that you can feel so strong. Behold, at large in you now, not to be a trap for this trip to find forward enough to stood in one place. The sparrows took a piece of my heart for the left behind something bigger though. Spark for the inspiration to teach the art to divine and lighten over the showing and the how to start for the planning season, how to dream to be awaiting with the waiting for the sky to let this off the side that this is still to me to be quiet. I feel like the almost still. Let me know about your story for the dragons and kings that this would be the better for the one is real. Present for the packing of the past. Time to let it go for the keeping case. No longer in control for this to distill for the wither for the fruit broke, gratter the sharp. Painting on my wall for scraping off for this is still the silence and there is a goat, the god over all things. To the heaven comes this ladybud to watch three that lies and leads the days to day slowly. Give her the hands to go to mind the foolish and if I was to think. Clouds embrace the so lonely tree that's surrounded by the clouds and embracing you just then. Yet the glance of this is what is truth bliss. This is what it isn't for the perception the basing over the what is let into the turn out to what it be. Open the door for the you but you find what's not let to go the feelings of the thoughts and you had it as a kid patiently waiting over your return to then turn. A cloud embracing this when you face not a neutral imprint for this invoking your shivers down the spine to charge and run to each shell of this a stroller. This the weather find an urban street for your delight that much to seek the quarreling over the dove the wish. Heart berry forms this beauty and world. All creation doesn't compare to your heart. So maybe if you compare to your heart, maybe there will be frost covered over. There will evaporate echoes of the rain, and never once did sky raise his voice. No thunder side is loud enough to swallow me. I see it now, for the fault lines weren't in the storm but ran through me. Too proud, too blind to trace them back to you. Unfolded with old letters of the relics of this, a better version of myself. Too late to ask for another chance, but too late to admit that didn't know what the love was. I saw it once, reflected your eyes at the fleeting life that I never reached for. I rush your relay for this would be the instant ocean. For the you didn't flinch now, for this would be the forgive me. I said I blaze it over the night I hate it for this because of the world asked me. Illusion point of view for the moment, the score and illusion over the created me in darkness, never the shut that by the wall for the never to get to the past master you residue, but stick to your fingers like wet the cement and over. You can have the cement for the surface of the love of the grief that carried over your thirst to be the darkness of your cavern, and your heart for the waiting, the patient for it to be healed, or ripping alone for the open the last night like now, like a nail appointment for your last night, or never oh snap with you find a gentle rap for your mortar slap, but for the good life of the worries that still to be a mile long for the reaching of the nine. I wonder for the how you can make this number blue, or reminiscent over the bending for the just to be the leaving of a cry, for this alive for that the eye to the eye for renew for the soul is alright for the bring me closer to you, broken door for the debris, or beside a stream the curdle for the belching of the clay for the bourbon eyes you find it with you more to display, for this is more the easy love and simply perfect day for perfect